all that stuff on it there. I've been there about 15 years, so do mainly traveling, service, and training. Rick here is with our aerial division down there. He's going to go over all the aerial stuff on it there. Any questions before we start? Okay. Some of the stuff on this truck is going to be a huge change from what you're used to. Okay. What I'll start off with first here is on this truck here, this has got the latest and greatest emission systems. Okay? Sorry. Well, it's the latest. It's the latest and greatest according to them guys, all them engineers. Okay? And there's a couple of different things on this. Some of the stuff you have already on one of your other trucks, some of the stuff is new. One of the things that's new is in this back door compartment here. Diesel exhaust fluid. DEF. Okay? Tank. That's where this tank is at here. It's about a 6-gallon tank in there. What that does is that's one of the parts of how it's supposed to make everything cleaner when it comes out of the exhaust. Okay, you've got for that tank there, you've got a level gauge for it right above the fuel tank level gauge on the instrument cluster. Okay, and also with this, very similar to what you have on your other truck, on your International, is the the DPF system, diesel particulate filter system. Okay, what that does is that's just a big filter in the exhaust to make sure that all the air going out of the exhaust is cleaner than the air coming in. That's what they say anyways. Okay, what it's going to do with that there is if you're out doing some long runs, what it can do is it can do what's called a passive regeneration on it all by itself. You'll just get an indicator light on the dash telling you it's a check message center, and on the left hand side of the dash it'll tell you that it's doing a regeneration. While you're driving down the road, you really won't notice any performance difference, anything like that. All you'll get is probably get a high exhaust temp light. It's going to come on telling you it's heating it up to burn out that soot and everything else that's on that filter to clean it out. That's a good thing. Let it go through and do that. Okay? The next thing is called a parked regeneration. If you do not keep a sustained 20 miles an hour or higher, it's going to go on ahead and disengage that regeneration system. Okay? So if you're running around town here, it's not going to do a passive regen. Basically designed for over-the-road truck stuff. What you can do when it's calling for it, you can do a parked regeneration. So out in front of the station here, outside, you've got a couple of switches down here on the bottom. The left side one is a manual regeneration. Okay? This is a Cummins engine in here, so you can only do a regeneration when it's calling for it. Okay, so when it calls for it on the dash, you can have it out sitting outside here, push and hold the switch a few seconds, release it, it'll go to a high idle, about 1200 RPMs. And what it's going to go do then is go through and do the regeneration. Okay? How long is that going to take? Anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. Hour and 10 minutes, depending on how dirty that filter is how long it's going to take. Okay? When it gets done, it's going to automatically bring it down to a low idle, so you know when it's gone through its complete cycle on it.
So if it starts, you can shut it off even after.
If you start into a regen and you get a fire call, as soon as you release the park and brake, it kicks it out. You can go on your call. The only thing is, it's going to require one or request one sooner for the next time, because it's only burnt out part of it.
How long does it take when you're driving it?
Now this morning when I come up, it took I suppose 15 minutes. So it didn't take too long. You know, it's a little quicker on it that way. But you've got 4 levels on the indicator up here. On the sun visor there, you've got 4 levels of how dirty that filter is going to get, okay? And to get from the first time level 1 comes on to level 4 is going to take you weeks and months to get to that how dirty it is, okay? So as soon as you can, if you can't, if it's calling for a regeneration, as soon as you can, do a parked regen, or if it's you're out driving, try to let it go through and do it, okay? But if you can't, for some circumstance or another, don't worry about it. It's going to take a while to progress on. But when you ignore it long enough, when it hits level 4, the truck shuts off. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You can be in the middle of a pumping operation, and if you've ignored it for months on end and got it to get up to level 4, the truck shuts down. Then you got to come out. Then you got to get Cummins out with the laptop to hook up to it, to override the system, to start it, to limp it back to the shop. Okay? So anytime that you can do it, do the parked regen when it's at the lower levels. Okay? There's also the switch to the right of that is a regen inhibit. Okay? If for some reason when you're in a pump operation, okay, your speedometer is above 20 miles an hour because you're pumping, it thinks you're going down the road, it can go in to a regeneration. Okay, it's not supposed to, but it can. What that's going to do is that's going to affect how your pressure governor works. So it's going to start affecting how your hand line operations are and stuff like that. If you don't want that, just come up, hit the regen inhibit switch, and it takes it out. It stops it from that. Okay?
Will it kick on again? Or will it...
Not until you cycle powered. It'll inhibit it until the engine is shut off and restarted. Okay, and it'll go for it again. But that's where these 2 switches are here. Okay, that's the biggest, and the biggest thing about this is you do not want to be at low idle for a long period of time. Okay, because for these here, that's the worst thing for them, because your diesel engine's not creating enough heat to burn the fuel clean. Okay, so if you're going to be using this just for blocking or for lighting operations, stuff like that, go on ahead and use the high idle. If you're going to be doing a pump operation or aerial operation, don't worry about it, because you're going to be high. Either in a pump operation, you're going to be at higher RPMs, and when you're doing aerial operations, it's going to be going up and down anyways. So you're not going to be at low idle that long. Okay? Any questions on the filter system of the exhaust? That's probably the biggest change.
How long does the exhaust fluid last usually?
Normally, depending on how you drive, that tank will last anywhere from 2 to 4 fuel tanks on it. So yeah, it's about a 6-gallon tank, and there's a 2.5-gallon jug in the compartment now, and I told the mechanics probably get a case, which is 5 gallons to have on hand, and you can get that from the local Napa store, wherever you want to. They're all carrying it. It's the same fluid, for Cummins, Detroit, Cap, International, Ford. They're all the same DEF fluid. There's nothing special about it. So as long as it's DEF fluid, use it. The stuff that we have that's in here is a Valvoline brand, but it's like whatever. We get it from the local car shop. So, okay.
One quick question too.
Yep.
If, for the high idle, when you're not pumping, is it the same?
When you're not pumping, yeah, bump it up to high idle.
Then it's just like 26 is now. We put it up. It's just this is different how you just push a high idle button.
You don't have to...
26 you have to do the cruise control. Yeah.
This has got a high idle switch. When we get up there, I'll go over that. But yeah, it's just a 1 button to turn it on. Okay.